I think a lot of people would pay good money for the opportunity to be in love with Rashad.
Yeah, he is a wonderful guy.
Tell me what you did in this little production called Joe Goes to the Store.
Sure. So I play a woman who used to be in a relationship with the main character who's played with Rashad. And Rashad seems to be going through a really tough time as he remembers said woman. And I am said woman.
So what was your approach to the role of said woman? How did this one vary from other things you had done in the past?
Well, I don't have any real speaking roles in this one. I believe I have one line that I say, and especially since this all takes place in his memory, you know how your memory is kind of a fickle thing, and you tend to remember what you want to remember. So in this case, he remembers all of the best moments. He thinks of this woman as, I guess, like the light of his life. I tend to wear a lot of bright colors whenever I'm in the scene.
What were you personally doing in order to bring that warmth?
Um, it was definitely interesting. I learned a lot about myself and about how I am in relationships when portraying this character. Because I remember when I was first, auditioning for this part, first being looked at for this part, it was mentioned that this is a lot more of like a mature relationship, a lot more of a developed relationship. And at this point, I hadn't actually really been in a serious relationship, and I couldn't really I didn't really know kind of how I was in a relationship, and I have to exude this, matureness about myself, about in this developed relationship, in this like solid relationship that at that moment I hadn't really had. So I had to remind myself to stay grounded and to stay, in the moment, while also like knocking down all of those walls that you kind of like don't realize that you even have up there. There's a moment where Rashad and I were dancing, and I remember having to like take that one deep breath, and completely like losing myself in the part and be completely in love in that one moment, which is a feeling that I hadn't really felt up until that moment.
I think a lot of people would pay good money for the opportunity to be in love with Rashad.
Yeah, he is a wonderful guy.
And let's talk about what it was like working with Keegan and being directed by Keegan. What were his specific directions in regards to this role?
Yeah, I mean, working with Keegan is great. He is like the one director that I continue to go back to repeatedly, and it may just be because I am not a film major. I'm not a theater major. I'm not even really in the arts. I just so happen to be in a class with Keegan because I have my minor in theater, but I'm actually an engineer. And so Keegan would keep on bringing me back for these parts, especially since I don't have the busy arts, the busy schedule that everyone else in theater does. I'm not constantly in plays and in productions, and I'm not constantly in rehearsals. So I've always have time to do those small little cameo roles, or give them a week, give a weekend of my time where I just film for 14 hours, and it's not even like I can free up the weekend. But working with Keegan is fantastic. He always really helps you understand your character, especially for such a small part as my part is in Joe Goes to the Store. You don't really I don't have any lines, so it's very difficult to, really understand who your character is. But Keegan will go through, beyond the script with you, and you can understand really who your character is, and what her thoughts are and what her relationship is, and he really helps you build upon your character that it on page there's not really too much to her, so that you can give her a more three-dimensional feel when you watch her on screen versus just reading who she is on paper.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Joe Goes to the Store is wonderful, and I'm very excited that I can actually finally get to show my friends and family this. It's been in the film circuit for so long, and they keep on hearing about these, these awards and all of these honorable mentions that this show and this short film keeps on winning, and then they keep on asking to see it, and I'm like, no. So I'm very excited that this will finally actually be public for all of my friends and family to see, and they can finally figure out who Joe is and why he's going to a store.
That is the big question everyone seems to be having. Well, thank
Why
you.
the store?
Well, thank you for chatting, Evelyn.